Hey people, I recorded that new intro for this last movie I put up, and it's an excellent movie, The Lost City of David. I recorded that on my bathroom guitar. I got a little miniature electric guitar sits by the toilet, so I always get a little practice time every day. But in this movie, I just concentrated on the last line in the Greek and Hebrew. So it's got my best retention rate yet by far, and so it must be a good movie. So don't miss that. So I was just wanting to hit on some of the other words in that chapter, and I was chasing down some more words that they said was the perfumer or the apothecary. And I run into something, so the end of this kind of get shaky. I'm going to show you something that most people aren't ready for. And then I'm going to have to make another movie to get the rest of that in there. It's too much. You know, I was reading in this Greek, and I seen this, in the Alakiste, and here, in the Malachi. And I knew that this is the Hebrew words they say is the king and the kingdom here, And they got this kingdom over here in this Basilius, but this is, in Asile. And it doesn't necessarily mean kingdom. It's wherever you're in Asile at. But when I look over here in, right across of it, over here in the Hebrew, you can see that, that was the Alakiste of his reign, and just above that, in the Malachi. And you see here, down here in 12, this word yet, wigs, WGS, and they'll say this, be sent is the year. But over here in the Greek, this is what they give the year. This is the word yet. And you don't see it here, but this mark up here, when you look in the Septuagint, you see this after this trichocosta, and it has, look, apostrophe right above the E up here. Like I say, apostrophe is a Greek word that means to turn away. So when you see it, you turn away and you read this backwards, and it's yet, so it's yet it they is what this actually says. And this word for year, is right here, the anno, and they say it means higher. And so that's the ancient Sumerian god, Anu, was the highest. And they want you to think this is a totally different language, but it's not. It's just to try to rewrite the book. But this is the old Hebrew word for the kingdom and the kings, the Malaks. And it comes from the word milk, from the Hebrew, and that comes from the Egyptian. The highest god was a cow that was up in the sky creating the heavens from milk. That's where all that comes from. And in Asile just means in the place you went to be protected. It don't mean a kingdom, it don't mean a king. But they'll read that as Basilius. It's not, it's in Asile as. So this word Malakis, this reads the same as the ancient Hebrew or the ancient Teutonic. It's em is them, and them Allah, God, kissed. And what it means is, it means beautiful. This ankh here, this is the same hieroglyph for a mirror. And somebody who carries a mirror around with them all day, they think they're beautiful. If you're not real pretty, you're scared of the mirror, you stay away from it. And that's what that means, is them that Allah kissed. And it's the beautiful kings. You only become a king if you are beautiful. And you also notice, that they all have Asian eyes. All the beautiful people got the Asian eyes. And so they tote their ankh around with them. And you can see that word Asian right here. And them Alakiste, the Asian, to Yedit to Triacosta. A Triacosta Winata. And this is that same, the Winato as in the Illuminato. The Illuminato Asian. And this word for the people, they borrowed that from China. And Laos would be they'll give it people in both Hebrew and Greek. But it's the people command, it's the Laos Zoo. And that's what the ancient art of war was actually about. And this is the main word I wanted to look at, was this Illuminato, to illuminate, to Illuminato. I wanted to see what they said that was in the Hebrew. But don't miss the other movie. A lot of good information in there. But you can see, it's to the Illuminato Asia. And that was the end of that story. I told you, there was the 9 Asian men who got the 9 books to protect. And they didn't want the Laos, the peoples, to have it. Because it would be too dangerous for humanity if the people had the knowledge in those books. And you see that come up right underneath here. Let's say this Tricocosto is 30th, and it's not. And then you see this 9 right here. The 9, this in Asilius, in the protection of. And you see here in this, in Hebrew, the cut of is. That's the title that's on my old Torah. It's the Torah, the cut of in love, in nay, the cut of in love of nay, Tor, the nature. And so that's the word, they say is written, and that means it was so long ago that it had to be cut in the stone. And the cut of is KT, K, and the dot means a vowel following. And the dots underneath usually give you an idea of what vowel it is. But the cut of is all the cipher, the cipher. And the books aren't like books that you think of today. All the books had to be ciphered. It was all coded in numbers. You had to cipher. And all cipher the Malachis, the kings, the Milkies, Milky Ways, and the lie, L-I-E, the lie woulda. The lie woulda, W, not you, but W, the lie woulda. Who is, lie would, H-U, who is rule. And so this Illuminato Asia, and laid to waste is in the 10th line here. And Asia was enraged with the prophet, and he placed him in the house of the prison, for he was angry over this. And Asia laid waste among the people at that time. And here in the Hebrew, they'll say, and was angry Asia with the seer. But it's, Y, W-Y-E right here, meaning who. And who cuss. Who cuss Asia all hears. E-R-E-S. The A-E because of E-S. And who cuss Asia all hears. And so a seer is somebody who hears everything. Of all hears. Who tenue, and the tenue is like the purpose. And who tenue of it, who tenue be it, the Hema pact. Who tenue be it, the blood pact, the Hema pact, the blood pact, and then the Chi, C-H-I-V-Z, the Chiefs, O-F, the Chiefs of. Who blood pact the Chiefs of. And when this reads the other way with the mark, it's the cheap, the cheapos biz of. But straight through the first time, it's the Chiefs of. And the tenue of it, the blood pact Chiefs of Homo. And this is the word for when they say the Pharaoh's people or the Homos. And, Moses' people are the Homies. And Ruth's people, the lesbians were the Homex. And sometimes they'll say the Lord's people are homos. It just means the same. And so who blood packed the chiefs of homo, of the same type. All is that. All that, or is, the Z is at. And all's at the works. W-I-R-X is the works, and then a vowel point and another X. And so this could read, the work sits, or where it sits, S-I-X, W-I-R-T-S-I-X, where it sits, or the work sit. And all is at work sit, Asia. Men has bought. And so they're trying to say this is like about, about that time. But this is bought. The men has bought the high. The men has bought the high. They bought their way into the high place. And so who cuss, who cause Asia all hears, who tinue of it the blood pact, chiefs of Homo. And so the chiefs of the same all is at where it sits. Asia men has bought the higher. And you see that in all the ancient artwork in Egypt, that all the gods and kings all have Asian eyes. And so this is the word across from Illuminati. They works it. W-I-R-X. The works it. The ones working it. The ones doing the oppressing. And usually, the word for oppressed or oppressors and all that is always going to be around the word niggas, N-G-S, anything around that. And so this is a whole different category of words. It's in this group of words here. They were hard pressed, distressed, was oppressed. You see here in Samuel 14:24. And the men of Israel were distressed. The ways his rule, niggas, N-G-A-S, niggas by us. In fact, this little dot in the I here, it means there's an E following this, and it's to be J-E-W-S is what this says. And the niggas be Jews. And so this word, comes from the same word as the garden does, and when it's backwards, it's the jinn. And the jinn is, where you're turning the machine. And so to nigs is to turn. And to turn, the jinn is where that word comes from. And it's the one that's actually, pushing the wheel. This is the jinn. This is the nigger, the one pushing. This is the jinn. This is the oppressor. And this is the nigger. He's pushing, the one who's turning, the jinn. These are the oppressed. This is all just ancient English. You see it on a 4-stroke engine here, This is the jinn, the engine, in the jinn. And what's turned the jinn here is the pressed is what's pushing the jinn. And you see that word only comes up this one time. And they say it comes from a word to mean to crush. So they just force that word on there. But yeah, to work something. Sometimes you're crushing it when you're working it. And just in the spelling of these words tells me that they're lying to everything about our history. This day is also, by, B-Y-U-S, by us. And so that means, the gods are talking, or the gods of the days. But it's also, to be B-E and then J-E-W-S, the Jews. And it's also the juice, it's the power that's cranking the mill. And so they knew that the planets of the days were turning around the sun. You can see it in the language. But you get a better idea here for this word prison. When you're trapped in a blood pact, that's your prison. You got to hold up to your word. That's a blood pact. That's what it means. When you take a blood pact, that means they're going to kill you if you talk. And so this word comes up like this 3 more times. We'll look and see where it comes up. It's once here in the Chronicles, the Times, and then twice here in Jeremiah. And like I say, this is a German word. And usually when you see it, it reads backwards. And it reads the Heimer. That's your German word for home. Heimer, J, the homie. My Heimer, my homie Jeremiah. And you see, the prison is now just stocks. It's still the blood pact. And you see these 2 times in Jeremiah, it comes after all with attack. So the second time it reads backwards and forwards. And this one has a little diamond above the P here, so it's going to read different every time it comes up. And so this word instruct actually comes from the word whack, W-A-K, but this is the W-Y-E-K-E-H or K-H-E, And this is wakey, to wake up. And sometimes you gotta smack somebody to wake them up, but wakey. And so this wakey, Pisher, and they're just saying that this is a person's name now. But you can see here, it actually was a word that means freedom. And then it's a priest, the son of Malachi, which means king. But it looks like, the wakey pusher, hey, I got some cocaine, I got some go fast, the wakey pusher, at germ you. And that's coming from the old English, Danish, Norwegian, to bleat, to lament, to complain, to whine, at germ you. The wakey pusher at germ you. The Navy. This is the Navy. And the Navy, who it in at to all hemopact, the blood pact, the stocks. A sure vessor. A vessor is the one doing the filling. Assure the vessor, in the gate. Ensure the vessor. Bing man, the bing man, the timekeeper, the bing man. Holy, Holy, the holy when assure invite you. BVIT, to invite you. Wakey pusher at germ you. The Navy who tin it to. All hemopact assure vesser. Bingman holy when assure invite you. So this word, the prophet here, it's the Navy, Navy, and it's also in via, en route. And so this is the wakey pusher. It's a big old yacht. It's a wakey pusher. The wakey pusher at Jeremy, at germ you, nagging you, germ you, in via, en route, in the Navy, who tenant to all, the hemopact, the blood pact, assure. This is when Asher was born. Mama said, because I am happy too, assure, happy, be sure, be happy to be ashore, and been him in, been a period of time, and him, to been him in holy when, assure, invite you, to happy to invite you. But if you read it with the top markings, still the wakey pusher, the big old yacht that germ you in vey, germ you in via, on the way, why, who tent, TN, and then T, who tenant, and why tenant, who tenant, then not, NATU, and then come back and grab the AT again. You're reading these twice and these twice. And who not it, who tenant, not a what all, and then backwards, to take fem, to take the femma, to take the woman me picked, assures her. You come back and get this SR twice. Assures her, be sure. That's old Navy trick. Take a verboat ride. And it's Benham none. You got two ends now. And Benham none holy when happy, assure, invite you. So it's talking about a big old boat, a wakey pusher, a big old yacht. And you can see here now that it's, instruct him in, put him in the dungeon, and the dungeon is now, cut a racket in, according to Kata, according to the racket in, that's that scam that they all playing, enabling what on this fashion, according to the racket in. And you see this word for the blood up here, the son of Hammer, the Pasher. But if you look over here in the Hebrew, you see this word for hammer is the same base word they say means word, and he said. And it's the word of the Khan, the Khan man, the Khan or the priest. Been the word of the Khan man to cut a racket in. And so when this word Jeremiah reads backwards, it's Heimer, Hyhymr, Heimer, German word for home, and in germ, the one the homie who keeps pestering you, the germ who. So this word Asia is just not Asia, it's just a set of 3 letters. And here it's reading with this Jasys, and then the AE here is turning to an ES, and it's yeses. And I showed before in the Hebrew and in the Greek, it's when I command you, you shall do. That's what that means. Yesa. Who yeses? And I'm sure it has something to do with the book of Jasher. But they'll say this word come from Hebrew because he was a physician, and you see it all throughout there when you see that word. They'll say here that it means a healer, but you'll find another word for physician all the way through this chapter. They'll say it several times in the Hebrew and in the Greek. But you really can't believe anything they say comes from Hebrew because nobody knows that language. It's all made up. The language is ancient English, ancient Teutonic. But in these 3 languages, it means hope. In the native tongue of Madagascar, it means work, would be the hand. In Portuguese, a wing would be the hand of a bird. And in Japanese, they say it means morning, which the Japanese are Asian. And so there's a good chance that that's your word there. But this Greek word for the physicians is the yacht rows. That's them rows of yachts out there at the port. Those are the physicians. And in the Hebrew, Achu Chi inner pays, B-N-E-R, inner P-A-Y-S, inner Achu Chi inner pays. And this is chi as in C-H-I, like do not consume, or the left hand. But all this reads several ways, and I just try to read the top off of it now, but it has all these directional markings. And so this also reads, the morpheme, more fuck, in more firm in the fit. And a little angle down here has you turn around and read this backwards in this way, in THE, in the fit. So I wanted to read this wherever else it came up. Only comes up these 2 more times. And you can see this is another word that's associated with it. You see the RQH here. The same, the RQH. And they say it means to mix, That's the same category. And if you read it with the markings, it's the women in Vin. The Kemin the Khan is. The Kemin the Khan is. Of Rofi. The Rufi high. The more firm it half it loves miss. The love is miss. And straight across the first time, it's just the women Vin the Khan is. Rufi the more fit love is miss. So you pretty much got to read the chapter or the paragraph to put any of this in context. But you can see this is the same word, that they give it a different category. So your word roofie and morphine, they all come and morph it. They all come from the same place. And you can see they got more words hid, Here's the morphit and the roofie again. The roofie, most roof it. And these are all 3 words that they say made. They mean made. The OS, everything with OS they say it make. And was it ate, A-T-E, ate, feather it. You put a feather in your hat, that means corrupted. you know, if you put a feather in your hat and you go out, go to town, Yankee Doodle put a feather in his hat. It means he was going to corrupt the town, you know, corrupted. And the roofie, same when they said made. And here's Moses, you know, that first word in front of the Bible they say is Moses. And that gives you a real good idea what Moses means, because they got so many other words that they want to give the meaning made. And so it's according to the art. So, yeah, that was the original word that was on top of the book of Genesis. You know, it says the book according to the art in begin. And so on, yeah, that's in order to learn the art. And you see what the arts are all about. The arts is all about the roofies cooking up drugs, you know, a compound, the roofie. And it's also where your word mosaic come from, you know, according to the art. It was all over the walls. It was written in picture languages all over the walls in Egypt. And this was the priest copies. You know, they'll say Moses' act or work or a network or the art. And so that gives a whole new meaning to the chapter of Genesis. This is the ancient word that said on top of the chapter of Genesis. This said the cipher. They say it means the book according to the art. In beginning is what they say that means. You know, that's the first word that comes up here, in the beginning. And so all this I'm reading today, it just confirms what I was believing when I first started this, is that, you know, Moses is where mosaic come from, and it was all the artwork. And this was the book of Sun Tzu, you know, the art of war and interpretation. You know, Sun Tzu, it's the same, you know, for command, the sun command, the sun god Ra. That was all the same artwork that was on the wall in Egypt. You know, the god was sun, Sun Tzu, the sun commands. The book according to the art in the beginning. So I'm going to cut this off here. I'm going to look more into these words. I didn't pre-read this. I just been going wild as I went here. But yeah, I'm going to look into all these words, the perfumers, the roofies, and the pure codes. And so I notice I'm getting more views on my oldest movies. And if you want to catch this better, the best place to go is this first one that comes up right up here. It says first. It's the best place to learn this. And I'm going to cut this off here. Have a good day.